The far left, how they turn silly tweets and misstatements into policy. I mentioned this a couple times over the past few weeks where I said Ocasio-Cortez will basically say something nonsensical and then be forced to defend it because she refuses to accept when she's wrong, and boom, policy. Now we can see the latest in not just AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, the far left Democrats. This story, Rep. Ilhan Omar calls for end to customs and border protection. Okay, seriously now, you gonna tell me these people are not for open borders? AOC is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America who protest for open borders, and now both want to abolish ICE, and at least Ilhan Omar wants to abolish CBP. Okay, so here's what happens. Ocasio-Cortez does an impromptu Instagram live where she's just ranting about nonsense. And then she says concentration camps and never again. And all of a sudden now, she has equated border patrol facilities with World War II Germany. People called her out for this, and they said, dude, chill, okay? You're a bit off on this one. So what does she do? In classic AOC fashion, refuses to back down and says, no, harumph, I say, I'm correct. I wasn't referring to Germany anyway, even though she said, quote, never again. Then what happens is, because she's forced to defend this position, she goes on a tour of a facility and then says, it was worse than I realized. Did you know? In both accounts from CBP and AOC, somebody laughed. She seriously complained that one of the CBP agents laughed about something they saw on their computer. It was probably a meme. Who knows? She said, that was so disrespectful, him laughing. Okay, stop being paranoid, dude. So then she goes on to rail on CBP as a rogue agency. Now we can see where she does a silly, stupid Instagram comment, and it is effectively turned into a call to abolish customs and border protection. I kid you not. These people have lost the plot. Do you want to know what CBP does? Because I got a nice little story here from January 31st of this year. Border protection agents make largest fentanyl bust in U.S. history. Yes, that's fentanyl, an extremely dangerous opioid, I believe. It's very, very strong, and a small amount will kill you. And we have a serious problem with heroin and other opioids and, actual prescription medication. And there's an epidemic. So you know what? CBP does more than just one thing. But of course, these people don't know what they're talking about. They're nuts as far as I'm concerned, and they're just saying things to signal to their base on social media. I got another segment about that coming up. There's a lot to talk about with the Democrats today. I'll tell you what. Let's read this story. Fox News says, Ilhan Omar sounded off on CBP on Wednesday, calling for its elimination. CBP has been under fire over alleged conditions at detention centers along the southern border. It has also taken heat over revelations involving a Facebook group where Border Patrol agents made derogatory posts about immigrants and certain lawmakers, including Rep. AOC. Now, here's the funny thing. Rashida Tlaib followed, I believe more than one, maybe one, anti-Semitic accounts on Instagram. They were posting ridiculous things. Like, I think it was a picture of a rat with a Jewish star on it. Okay, is she going to apologize for that? She didn't. She just said, oh, I was followed. I don't know what she said. Maybe she did apologize. I don't know. So let's. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, are we going to throw out the whole company, the whole organization, Customs and Border Protection, simply because a few thousand people, some civilians, some federal agents, were in a group posting a few memes that were offensive? I think it's silly. So let's read on. Before we move on from here, though, head over to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. These videos are particularly contentious. And whenever I talk about immigration stuff, YouTube flags my content. I kid you not. I had a couple of videos demonetized recently because illegal immigrants are now a protected class on YouTube. I am in no way saying anything disparaging about illegal immigrants, okay? I think they're people who are looking for a better life. They have my utmost respect. However, CBP also has my respect, and there's a legal process to these things, so I'll criticize enforcement and politicians. But I kid you not. YouTube has ruled that 2 of my videos should be demonetized for simply saying we should be enforcing border laws that we have on the books, and that we have these laws for a reason. I'm not even exaggerating. I had 2 videos demonetized, and I won't get into great detail, but I was effectively told that it was hurtful and it was biased against a protected class. I didn't say anything positive or negative about the illegal immigrants themselves. I was talking about the law. Sorry. So here's the thing. I believe there will come a time when my channel will just be outright removed because I talk about these things, for sure. The cliff erodes, and at some point, it'll come from me like anybody else. You can support me at timcast.com/donate. Share these videos if you think people should hear them. I back them up on other networks, and you can follow me at minds.com/timcast, minds, minds.com/timcast. But let's read the news. Appearing on the BET digital series Black Coffee, Omar grouped CBP with other, quote, rogue agencies lacking in accountability and transparency. We know that they have spoken in the most vile ways about immigrants. We know that they have certain views on what brown and black people deserve. And so we should be having a conversation about eliminating their existence and reforming the agencies that deal with the most vulnerable, who are children and women. She added, we're continuing to allow for them to terrorize people who are running away from the most horrific circumstances. Full stop. You can't claim that if you're in Guatemala, you go through Mexico and come to the US, and you especially can't claim that if they're coming from Africa, flying to Brazil, and then traveling up through South America. Some are flying to like Colombia. Like, come on, man. You've got people purposefully going through nice countries. Brazil is awesome. Okay, if you're going to fly from Africa to Brazil, what's wrong with Brazil? Rio is beautiful. Chill on the beach, have a coconut for like $1. It's great. Nice chill in the sunshine. We have a song about Copacabana, okay? Rio de Janeiro, fun place. Why would they leave these nice places? Mexico City, nice place, to come to the US. I think it's simple. The American dream is real. And I think it's a lot of people who realize that the Democrats will protect them, provide them cover, so they can actually come. So no, they're not fleeing the most horrific circumstances. Some are, but even CNN, I kid you not, Fareed Zakaria said Trump is right on this issue. She says that's inhumane, and that can't sit well with the American values that we have about dignity and humanity. Omar previously called for the elimination of ICE. She also backed Ocasio-Cortez's claim that the U.S. is essentially running concentration camps along the southern border. And this is how we get to the point, okay? Young people who are not very smart, posting on social media, refusing to admit when they're wrong, and turning it into policy. And here you go. It makes no sense to anyone, okay? Any moderate individual, any regular American, to eliminate border protection and ICE. Okay, those are reform. Okay, they said reform. I can respect that, but they're saying eliminate, abolish. Then what? Just let people flood the borders? We have a record number of migrants crossing the border. It was like 144,000 in May. Border crossings have gone down so far. But when we look at what's happening, we look at the detention facilities getting overcrowded. We look at the bad conditions. These are the people who refuse to vote in favor of the bills. These are the people who are obstructing the humanitarian aid, now complaining it's CBP's fault the whole time. You see how this works? It is a kind of ignorance and to an extent an evil. You withhold the funding so they look bad, and then you blame them for looking bad. Think about that. Imagine you had somebody, living near, we'll put it this way. Someone works for your company. You don't pay them enough. They're like, I need a raise. Well, nope. I'm not going to give you one because you don't deserve it. Then their clothes start getting all ratty and you go, your clothes are all ratty. You can't work here anymore. We're going to eliminate your position because you look terrible. It's effectively what they're doing. Okay, CBP asked for money. Trump asked for money. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they said, hey, how about the Democrats step up and give them the money for this crisis? And what did they say? They said no. And I'll tell you what's really crazy. Even after the Democrats finally agreed to step up and provide this money, what do we get? They not only obstruct, but now they're literally calling for the elimination of CBP. So let me show you this, okay? We can talk about how their grandstanding is nonsensical. They act like CBP is one thing doing one thing. No. Customs and Border Protection has a word in front of its name. The first word, customs. They deal with drug busts. They deal with human trafficking. They're not specific, like they don't only deal with migrants trying to cross the border. They're stopping bad people and criminals, okay? So when you look at what Omar is claiming, she says we should eliminate them. Why? Because one aspect of their job isn't up to snuff because you refuse to give them money? What about all the other good things they've done? I got to imagine, if you're a CBP agent, you're probably pretty angry by now because they take only the worst aspects of the job, don't give you the resources you need, blame you for it, and then ignore the really good things you've done that were major historical news. Largest bust in U.S. history by CBP agents. That's drugs off our streets. That's good news. That's an agency doing their job properly. I'll tell you what, it's simple. Vote to provide the money they need, and we won't be where we are. But you can look at what they do. Nonsense statements, withholding of funds, and then using both of those things to justify the elimination of an entire sector of Homeland Security, which will result in one thing: tacit open borders, right? Because what do you have if you have no border protection and you have no immigration enforcement? You have open borders. In fact, it's worse than that. You have a weird permanent underclass who can come to this country and only work under the table illegally because they're not citizens. And that will allow the uppity, wealthy, liberal elites in big cities to sip their tea, write articles about Brad Pitt's junk while working for, BuzzFeed or whatever that pays them a decent amount of money to do nothing. Meanwhile, these people who come across the border will be mopping up the trash on the floor as you throw your trash around. You're permanent underclass. Congratulations. That's what we're going to get if they allow this. I'll leave it there. Stick around, more segments to come because the next segments basically have more to do with this. So I will see you in a few minutes.